Don in London, hello. It's April 23rd, 2010, time just after midday. Late doing my video on recovery, that is recovery from addiction to substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, equally addictive. People, places and things, and that translates to workaholic relationships, collecting. And these days I try not to go to extremes of behaviour, like drinking on a daily basis, and it's been some years now. And I am breathing a sigh of relief, actually, to be home just now, sober, and more informed about what is going on with me and my particular problems at the moment. So I've just been to the hospital, and I've got more hospital appointments due in the next month or so, to do with a fractured foot, and also to do with type 1 diabetes and clinical depression. So it's a difficult story, really, but the really interesting thing for me is that before I got to recovery from addiction, I was unaware of my clinical condition regarding my emotional state of depression, and it is a chemical imbalance, and I was alive long enough then to acquire type 1 diabetes from a virus rather than lifestyle, which was a bit of a shock, because I did have tests of every description, a full MOT, to see how I was when I stopped drinking, in order to diagnose what was wrong emotionally, which was causing the addiction, or rather just accepting that I was in recovery, whatever the reason. So these days it's about staying in balance as best one can for me, and finding how to be sober one day at a time. So I'm exhausted. I've been out and I've had to travel, which is not good when you've got fractures healing, and a difficult conversation for me with a consultant who I felt left me in the dark about my condition with regard to fractures in my foot and what I might do. So where am I now? This is about recovery, and you know, recovery is everything that we do on a daily basis. 35 years of drinking. First drink did do the damage. It changed the way I felt, and it covered up my fear, and it actually helped me suppress feelings for a long time, the real feelings, and learning how to deal with them. So what's my story, and how did I get into recovery? Well, simply moments of clarity around I could not do it on my own. Self-will had run riot to obsession, and I couldn't stop drinking. I became a 24/7 drinker in 2002, although the signs were there all my life that I was alcohol dependent. It took the edge off. It was there for conviviality, and it was there for sadness. It was my best friend when relationships failed. It was my best friend when I was a success. So I kept on striving and striving and striving for perfection in my ability to conduct myself in business and social life. So never satisfied with me, always trying to be perfect and look for the perfect work and the perfect relationship. And of course none of us are perfect, so setting myself up, if you like, for failure. So it's no wonder that I resorted to my best friend on many occasions when I was successful or not successful, or things just didn't go the way I felt they ought to go. So I've adjusted my expectations on a daily basis to cover my needs and deal with wants, and ask myself, how much do I want this? How much do I need this? So I need sobriety. Sobriety is the bedrock of what happens, and I needed to find people who could keep me sober. So the options were limited, and still remain so for me, but there are options. But the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, gave me the starting point to start to understand what it's like to live sober, because here was a fellowship of people from a few hours sober to decades sober continuously, who had ideas, wisdom to share, and experience of life in recovery. And I know in my early days I thought there must be a secret inner sanctum where we would return to safe drinking. And of course the answer is, once we have a taste for oblivion, or the extremes of behaviour, or the extremes of emotion, what happens if we relapse and start drinking again? Well, we are chasing that old feeling. And it's the same with any addiction to either any substance or behaviour. And that's why it's called self-harming. And it's not easy to deal with. So these days I try very carefully to work out what is right for me. And sometimes when I don't know what to do, or I'm not sure, I consult my friends in fellowship, or I go to a professional. And this morning I had to go to a professional. But here I share about how does AA help me. I'll share the AA statement of intent and a reading, which is all about false pride and the choices we have in recovery, which is very appropriate really. Anyway, the statement of intent about AA, I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, never want to. It's full of unique, authentic people, some of whom are friends of mine, and it's anonymous. So we choose where we speak and how we speak and where we speak. It's a personal choice. There are no rules. There are suggestions. So here is the AA statement of intent. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety as best we can, just for a day. And I share here the daily reflections, 1 page a day, all about the 12 steps of action to change our attitude and behaviour on a daily basis. And I just want to share what it says on April 23rd, which was written, one sentence here, which is, AA is not a cure-all. It would be a product of false pride to claim that AA is a cure-all, even for alcoholism. And this is Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders, who said this. In my early years of sobriety, I was full of pride, thinking that AA was the only source of treatment for a good and happy life. It certainly was the basic ingredient for my sobriety, and even today, with over 12 years in the programme, and I'm nowhere near that. I am very involved in meetings, sponsorship and service. During the first 4 years of my recovery, I found it necessary to seek professional help, since my emotional health was extremely poor. There are those folks too who have found sobriety and happiness in other organisations. AA taught me that I had a choice to go to any lengths to enhance my sobriety. AA may not be a cure-all for everything, but it is the centre of my sober living. And for me, it is the centre of my sober living. And because I'm sober, and I couldn't really understand what the consultant said to me last week, I was already listening for good news, which was, I'm healing. But I didn't get the answers I needed, because in the letter which came from the hospital, this one, was a 5-point action plan, which involves me. Now, I've been following the action plan, but we didn't discuss it last week. So I was in the dark about some things to do with what is possible and not possible. And it's not possible for me to just throw down my walking sticks and run for my life. That's not ever going to happen. So I had to then get in touch with them and write the action plan again on 1 page, and then write my concerns about what to do next to keep myself well. So there was a consultant with all the information, highly intelligent, and unable to give me all the information because he just assumed that I heard it all. I didn't, and I don't think he actually shared everything. We never talked about the 5-point plan, or 5 plans. So these days I learn that I need to listen for everything, and if I'm not sure, go back and find out. So I have, and I've got a lot to be patient about. So false pride, no. Go back, find out. Humility, share my concerns, and I did. So that serenity prayer, which I share at the end of the videos, to God or good conscience, helps me every day make better choices. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is, for me, just for today.